found multiple dead bodies
on that farm in Sicily. Did you kill him?
Nine seconds. Do I look like a killer?
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2023 action sequel, The Equalizer 3. The film is once again directed by Anton Fuqua and it stars Denzel Washington, Dakota Fanning, David Denman and lots of Italian actors whose names I'm not going to butcher here. Right, this is of course the third part of the trilogy of the Equalizer films. And this time Robert McCall finds himself in Italy. At the beginning he is out of the country doing one of his good deeds, and essentially he takes out like this mafia cell out in the middle of Italy, and in the process he gets himself quite seriously injured, and he is brought back to health in a small local Italian town. The local doctor nurses him back to health. He is welcomed with open arms into the community, and for the first time in a long time he feels at peace. However, it doesn't last long, as the mafia is running rife, of course, in Italy, and they are making the locals' lives a living hell, and Robert McCall is not going to stand idly by and allow this to happen, which leads him into a head-on collision with the mafia. Right, what are my thoughts on The Equalizer 3? Well, I am not going to lie, I've been really quite excited for this film. This has been one of my most anticipated films of the year. The reason being is I'm such a big fan of the first two Equalizer films, especially the first one. I think the first one is absolutely superb. The second one is a good sequel. It didn't quite match up to the first one, but it was certainly very, very watchable. And where does the third one stand? Well, really good. I'll get that out there straight away. I thoroughly enjoyed this third outing for Denzel Washington here. And it marks, a real rarity to have a trilogy of movies where there's not a bad movie in the three movies. I think that is a real rarity these days. And honestly, this is probably my second favourite Equalizer film after the first one. I think it's slightly better than the second one. And I think the reason why I liked it is it felt different, but it also felt very familiar at the same time. The setting in Italy, I wasn't sure was going to work, but it absolutely did. And I think what Anton Fuqua in this time round, I mean, this series of films, the Equalizer films, have always been known, if you like, for the creative kills. And to some degree, the brutality of the kills. Well, he's dialed it up to 11 in this one. It's almost like a slasher film at times. I mean, he absolutely brutalizes. I mean, you have to call them his victims in this film. He absolutely destroys them, crushes them. You name it. And I mean, it's really creative how he does it. Almost to the point where it appears, and this seems a little bit out of character for the character, it appears that he's enjoying it sometimes. There is a couple of scenes where he is taking out villains and he's almost smiling while he's doing it. And there's one scene where he's stalking a particularly central character to the film, one of the central villains, and it's almost like he's playing with his victim, like a lion playing with its prey. And I don't recall him doing too much of that in the first two films. He was just very clinical, very clean, took them out. Whereas this time round, it almost feels like even more personal, because they're trying to take away from him this life of peace that he thought he was finally going to get. So we see a different dimension to the character of Robert McCall. And I thought it really worked. On the third film, it added a fresh layer, I think, to the character. Denzel Washington plays him absolutely brilliantly, especially when you consider his age. I mean, he's either 70, or he's very close to 70 now. Incredible stuff. He can still pull off the physicality of the role really, really convincingly. And he's such a great actor too. He brings that level of vulnerability and relatability to the character, and he can be like the friendliest guy in the world to the most sinister, brutal killer in the world. Just by the blink of an eye, really. He's such a talented actor. It's so good to see him in movies like this. And it's his only, I think, third. I think it's only his trilogy of films. He hasn't done another trilogy, which says a lot. I mean, initially he didn't even want to do the first one, but he really committed to that. Really enjoyed it. Obviously, did the second one, so he obviously feels a real affection to this franchise and this character. And I really hope this does well at the box office and for him. Obviously, they've made it quite clear that this is the last one. Unless this is like a major blockbuster, I don't imagine we're going to get another one, which is sad for me because I just love these series of films. I think Denzel's incredible in it. Dakota Fanning's also in this film. For the first time, they're on share the screen since 2004's Man on Fire. Which I thought was a really, really cool addition to the film. She plays like a CIA analyst. She's kind of working behind a desk that he kind of reaches out to from Italy to kind of bring the CIA in on it. And they kind of develop this relationship as the film goes on. And who she is and how she ties into his past is revealed at the end. And I don't mind admitting I got a little bit emotional at the end because it just tied it in beautifully, and I didn't expect it, if I'm honest. And the action here is, again, absolutely on point. I mean, it's the tightest, if you like, Equalizer film, and what I mean by that is it gets straight down to it. You know what I mean? You get the introduction to the film with he's taking out this cell in Italy, and then the injury of him being nursed back to health in this small Italian town, and him learning to become tap into his gentler side and settling into this place, and then him slowly realizing that he's not going to be able to not be who he is because of what the mafia are doing to these locals that he's got this affection for now. So it kind of, moves along at quite a fast pace, this. And the conclusion comes before you know it. I mean, the time's gone like that. I think it's about, I don't know, an hour and 3/4 long, something like that. But it doesn't feel like it. It feels much shorter than that because of the pacing. It's got some really, really great pacing in it, this film. And the stalking scene at the end, I mean, you see him anyway in these movies, like taking out bad guys and stalking them and stuff like that. But there's a scene at the end where it's almost horror movie material, the way he kind of stalks his prey and ramps up the fear factor for the ones that he wants to ramp up the fear factor for. It's just tremendous stuff. So for me, this is a really strong addition, I think, to the Equalizer franchise. I was worried when I knew there was going to be an Equalizer 3. I was excited, but I was also worried, thinking, oh, are they gonna do this? Are they gonna nail it? And they have. They absolutely have nailed it. Anton Fuqua has made all 3 of these films. He is one of the stellar filmmakers out there when it comes to action thrillers. He's made 3 brilliant action thrillers with the Equalizer films, and the 3rd one slots in very, very nicely indeed to bookend this franchise. And I do definitely recommend this one, guys. I think you will appreciate and enjoy it. So thank you very much for watching. I'll be back with more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.